What kind of mother would trade her own hair just to feed her child? That was the question hanging in the hot morning air of Dry Creek, as Eda Dorset stepped into town with her little boy's hand in hers, praying today would be different. The sun rose heavy over the crooked buildings, casting long shadows that clung to the dirt street. Eda walked with slow steps, each one careful, steady, hiding the tremble in her legs. Hunger had a way of stealing strength, but she would not let Owen see her falter. Her skirt was frayed, her boots cracked, and dust clung to the hem, but she kept her back straight like she always had. Her copper hair, once her pride, was pinned up tight. A few strands had fallen loose during the long walk, but she tucked them behind her ear. Owen dragged his feet beside her, too tired and too hungry to pretend he felt fine. "Ma, my tummy hurts," he whispered. "I know, baby," she said, squeezing his small hand. "We'll find food soon." She had said those same words at dawn. She had said them the day before, too. Since Tom died under a runaway herd last winter, she had been saying nothing else. Work was scarce for a widow, and help came even scarcer. She had walked for days to reach Dry Creek because someone had told her the town needed a woman to clean rooms. Even if it wasn't true, she had no choice but to try. The smell of bread reached her first. Warm, rich, real bread. It twisted her stomach with longing. Owen tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide. "Ma, is that bread?" She nodded and pushed through the bakery door. The little bell above it let out a sad ring as if it already knew she had no coins to offer. Mrs. Blaine, a round woman with gray curls, looked up from behind the counter. "Morning, dear. You new in town?" "Just passing through," Eda said. Her voice trembled, though she tried to hide it. "Ma'am, I don't have much coin left, but I can trade." Mrs. Blaine frowned softly. "Trade what, honey?" Eda's breath shook. Slowly she reached up and pulled out the pins that held her braid. Her hair fell over her shoulders like a copper curtain, glowing under the warm bakery light. It was long, thick, clean. It was the one thing she had left that felt like hers. "I can sell my hair," she whispered, "for bread, just one loaf." The room went still. A man snickered at a nearby table. Another whispered something to his friend. Eda kept her eyes down, heat burning in her cheeks. Mrs. Blaine shook her head softly. "Oh, sweetheart, no, you keep your hair. I can't take that." "I need food for my boy," Eda whispered. "I have nothing else." Before the baker could answer, the scrape of a chair echoed across the room. A cowboy stood from the shadowed corner. Dust clung to the bottom of his coat, and his face carried the quiet wear of long trails. He had steel-gray eyes, steady and calm, like he had seen too much to judge anyone. Reed Callahan walked to the counter, placed a silver coin down, and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "Keep your hair, ma'am. I'll feed you both." The whispers stopped. The snickering died. Even the bell over the door seemed to fall quiet. Eda turned toward him, her face tight with pride and shame. "Sir, I didn't ask for charity." Quote, "I didn't say it was charity," Reed said in a calm voice. "You look like you need a decent meal. That's all." Mrs. Blaine quickly wrapped 2 loaves of bread, slipping in a wedge of cheese, too. "Here you go, sweetie." Eda hesitated. She wanted to refuse, to keep her pride. But Owen was staring at the food like it was magic. She swallowed hard. "Thank you," she said softly. Reed tipped his hat. "Name's Callahan. You and the boy got a place to stay?" Quote, "Not yet." "Then ride along with me. I'm headed to river camp. You can rest, eat, and move on come morning." Before she could answer, Sheriff Lyle stepped in from the side of the room, arms crossed. "You sure about that, Reed?" "Town don't like strangers mixing with drive camps." Reed didn't blink. "I ain't asking for the town's blessing. Just offering help where it's needed." The sheriff studied him, then nodded. "Fair enough. Just don't bring trouble back." Eda looked at the bread in her hands, then at the cowboy who had stepped up for her without hesitation. Something in his voice, gentle but firm, made her trust him more than she meant to. "All right," she said. "We'll come." Reed helped Owen onto his horse first, lifting him with sure, gentle hands. Then he held out his palm to Eda. She hesitated, but finally took it. His hand was warm, rough, steady. "Don't worry, ma'am," he said softly. "I've got enough to share." They rode out of Dry Creek as the wind picked up, dust swirling behind them. The town faded away, its judgment fading with it. Ahead stretched open sky, a quiet river, and a chance at something she didn't dare name yet. For the first time in months, she felt her heart loosen. Just a little. Maybe there were still men in the West who remembered how to be kind. The trail out of Dry Creek wound through long grass and rolling hills, soft under the orange glow of evening. Eda rode behind Reed Callahan, one arm wrapped around Owen, who slept against her chest. Every small bump made her hold him tighter, afraid he might slip. The bread Mrs. Blaine had given them rested in her bag, still untouched. She wanted Owen to have it when he woke. Reed didn't speak much. He guided his horse with calm hands, riding like someone who trusted the land more than people. The steady rhythm of the horse's steps and the wide, open sky made the long silence feel gentle instead of cold. Night fell by the time they reached a narrow valley. A few canvas tents glowed in the darkness, lit by the steady burn of a fire. The scent of stew drifted in the air, warm and rich. Eda's stomach tightened at the smell. "This is our drive camp," Reed said. "It ain't much, but you'll be safe here." When he lifted Owen off the horse, the boy blinked sleepily, rubbing his eyes. Reed set him down on soft dirt, and Owen leaned against Eda's leg. She looked at the cowhands around the fire. They were rough men with worn boots and sunburned faces, but none of them looked at her unkindly. Reed stood tall as he introduced her. "Traveler passing through," he said. "She'll rest the night." No one questioned it. One of the men scooped stew into tin bowls. Reed handed one to Eda. "You should eat." Quote, she hesitated, her pride catching in her throat again. "You've already done too much." Reed shook his head. "Long trails make a man understand the value of sharing. Eat." Eda looked at Owen first. He was staring at her bowl with wide, hungry eyes. She passed her portion to him. Reed noticed, and quietly handed her another without saying a word. She ate slowly, almost afraid someone might take it away, letting the warmth spread through her chest. The fire crackled as the camp settled. Owen curled up beside her, wrapped in Reed's old blanket. The cowhands began humming a soft tune, something old and weary. Across the flames, Reed cleaned his rifle with slow, careful motions. The firelight cast warm shadows over his face. He looked strong, but also tired in a way that came from carrying things no one else could see. "You ride alone often?" Eda asked softly. He looked up, surprise flickering in his gray eyes. "Most of the time. Easier that way. Less people to disappoint." "That doesn't sound like you," she said. He gave a short laugh. "You'd be surprised." Quote, Eda watched him a moment longer. There was something heavy in his voice, something he didn't plan on sharing. But she understood men like that. Tom had carried his worries the same way, quiet and hidden. Later, when the fire burned low and the others slept, Eda still sat awake, staring at the flames. Reed remained seated across from her, hat tipped low, eyes fixed on the ground. "Reed," she whispered, "why did you help me today?" He looked up slowly. The firelight softened his face. "I've seen good folks brought low by bad luck. Sometimes all a person needs is someone willing to stand beside them." Eda's fingers brushed her braid. "I thought my hair was the only thing I had left to trade." Reed's voice dropped, low and steady. "You're worth more than what the world showed you today." Her breath caught. No one had spoken to her like that since Tom died. When she lay beside Owen, wrapped in Reed's blanket, she watched the cowboy as he sat alone by the fire. She didn't know him, not truly, but something about him made the night feel less empty. Before sleep claimed her, she whispered into the darkness, "Thank you, Tom," as if he had sent Reed their way. Morning came soft and gray. Mist clung low over the valley. Reed saddled his horse while coffee boiled in a black pot. Eda brushed Owen's hair. and folded the blanket they had borrowed. "You headed east?" Reed asked. "Toward your sister in Pine Hollow?" "Yes, if we can make it that far. I can take you there," he said. "Ain't no trouble." "You've done enough already," she replied. "We can walk." Reed's eyes drifted to Owen. "He won't make 10 miles on foot in this heat." Eda looked at her son. His small hands splashed in the creek water, laughter soft and bright. The tightness in her chest returned. "All right," she said quietly. "Just as far as Pine Hollow." They rode on after breakfast. The prairie stretched wide, golden under the rising sun. A hawk circled high above them. Reed pointed toward it. "Some folks say hawks carry messages to the ones we miss." Owen looked up, smiling. "Maybe it's going to see Pa." The words hit Eda like a stone. She turned her face away, pretending her eyes stung from dust. Reed didn't look back at her, but his voice softened. "Maybe he's watching you two right now." Hours passed. They reached a riverbank at dusk. The water shimmered under fading light. Eda knelt by the edge, washing her hands. Her reflection trembled in the ripples. Behind her, Reed filled his canteen. "Reed?" she said without turning. "Why do you talk like a man with a heavy past?" He paused. The evening wind carried his answer slow and quiet. "I lost someone, a good man, a man who once saved my life. I've been trying to make things right ever since." Eda faced him now. His eyes held a sadness that made her breath tighten. "We're all carrying something," she said softly. He nodded, looking away toward the hills. She didn't know yet that the truth he carried was heavier than she could imagine. A truth with her husband's name carved deep inside it. A truth that could either break her heart or set it free. And tomorrow, that truth would finally surface. The last miles toward Pine Hollow were quiet, filled only with the sound of the creek and the soft steps of Reed's horse. The sky stretched wide and endless, turning gold as the sun sank lower. Eda rode behind Reed, her arms wrapped around Owen, who leaned sleepy and warm against her. She should have felt relief. Safety was close. Her sister lived just beyond the ridge. But instead, there was a strange heaviness in her chest, a feeling she didn't know what to do with. They reached a small clearing by the creek at dusk. Reed slid off his horse and helped Owen down with gentle hands. Then he gathered sticks and started a small fire. Eda laid out the last of their bread, torn into pieces. Owen ate happily, crumbs sticking to his cheeks. His laughter filled the clearing, light and sweet. Reed watched the boy with a soft look she had not seen on him before. A look that made something warm rise in her chest. When Owen fell asleep curled by the fire, Reed sat back, arms resting on his knees. The firelight traced his jaw and lit the tired lines near his eyes. "You'll be safe here," he said. "Pine Hollow folks are good. Your sister will take care of you." Eda studied him quietly. "And you'll just keep riding?" He gave a faint smile. "There's always work somewhere." "You've done more for us than anyone since Tom died," she said. "I don't know how to thank you." Reed's gaze met hers, steady and soft. "You already have. You reminded me what it feels like to care about someone again." The words stole her breath. "You sound like a man who's been alone a long time," she whispered. Reed didn't answer right away. The fire crackled between them. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. "I used to ride with a good man, a loyal man. Lost him out near Red Mesa during a storm. I never forgave myself." Eda's heart squeezed. "What happened?" Reed's jaw tightened. "He was hurt bad. I went for help. When I came back, it was too late. I found his horse, his hat, and a letter he'd written. He said if anything happened, to look after his family." Eda stopped breathing. Her fingers trembled. "What was his name?" she whispered. Reed looked at her, his eyes heavy with something old and painful. "Tom Dorset." It felt like the world tilted under her feet. Her breath shattered in her chest. For a moment she could not speak at all. You knew my husband?" Reed nodded once. "He saved my life once. I owed him everything." I spent months trying to find where you'd gone. Never found you until that day in the bakery." Her eyes filled, shimmering in the firelight. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to bring you more pain," Reed said. "I thought helping you was enough. I didn't want Tom's death to fall heavy on your shoulders again." Silence settled, thick and aching. The fire crackled softly. Eda wiped her tears, but they kept falling. "He'd be glad you kept your word," she whispered. Reed's face softened. He watched her with a tenderness that made her heart ache deeper. "You're stronger than he ever knew," he said. "He'd be proud of you, both of you." Eda reached out and touched his arm. "And he'd be grateful you found us." Morning light crept across the clearing, soft and golden. Owen chased a butterfly in the tall grass while Reed packed his saddle. Eda folded the blanket they had shared and stood near him. "So you're leaving now?" she asked quietly. Reed tightened his saddle straps. "You're safe. My job's done." Eda stepped closer. "You don't have to go." He met her eyes, something fragile flickering in his gaze. "If I stay, I won't want to leave." "Maybe that's not a bad thing," she said. Reed let out a slow breath. "Your boy deserves someone better than a drifter with a long trail behind him." Eda shook her head. "He deserves someone good, someone kind, someone who keeps promises." Her voice trembled. "You did all that." They stood facing each other, the morning wind brushing through the grass. Reed reached out, took her hand in his, the same hand she had once offered in fear, now warm and sure in his. "If I stayed," he whispered, "I'd never be able to ride away again." "Then don't," she said softly. For a long moment he searched her face, as if trying to make sure the world wasn't tricking him. Then he nodded, slow and certain. "All right," he said. "I'll stay." Owen ran up with a wildflower in his hand. "For Mama," he said. Then he turned to Reed. "Are you staying with us?" Reed crouched down. "If your mama wants me to." Eda smiled through tears. "We could use another pair of hands, and another heart that knows how to keep his word." Reed smiled then, a soft, real smile she hadn't seen before. "Then I reckon I'll stay." By noon, the three of them rode toward Pine Hollow together. Eda's copper hair glowed bright in the sun, no longer hidden, no longer for sale. Reed rode beside them, his shoulders lighter than they had been in years. As they crossed the creek, a hawk soared high above them. Owen pointed up, laughing. "Maybe it's going to see Pa." Reed looked at Eda, and she looked back with quiet hope in her eyes. "Maybe it is," Reed said. And as the sun rose behind them, Reed Callahan finally stopped riding alone. He had kept his promise. He had found his family. And for the first time since Tom's death, Eda Dorset felt like her life was beginning again.